it came from trying to replicate an experience that I had, a unique experience I had from the very early days, which was almost forced upon me, but now I look back as like one of the best things.
Hello and welcome once again to Behind the Screens with me, David Hart, and Mark McDermott.
Hello.
Hello. So we are... One of the things that people talk about a lot is eating your own dog food, and it's something that we've kind of thought about a bit as well, and we wanted to share some of our experiences of how we've done it, and you know maybe that's something that people might want to think about how they can do it as well. And I suppose, you know, to kick off, it's very easy to, especially if you're doing other jobs, to not actually. You might install the product that you're selling yourself and kind of play around with it, but there's a big difference between that and actually doing it for a real person.
I mean, I suppose it kind of depends on the product, doesn't it? Because I mean, you imagine if you're Slack, it's great because you can just put Slack at the heart of your company. But I mean, actually, like a small startup company, screens are not at the heart of the company. They never would be. I mean, they're useful, don't get me wrong, like, and we use them, but like the needs of a multi-location, larger corporate business that wants to communicate with its staff and employees is somewhat different to a small startup in a room.
Yeah.
And so we can dog food it, but really I think how often internal dog fooding ends up looking a little bit like testing.
Like dog food. Yeah. And also because we actually often have to do things like tests and stuff, the screens that we are trying to use as an internal comms tool end up being repurposed. Oh, I just got to use that. I've got to test this thing for that event. And, you know, so it's hard for us to live the way that a lot of our customers do with screens. And we're not a shop, and we're not a hotel, and we're not a restaurant, you don't know what it's
and
like,
a bar.
And you've never worked in a shop or
not
really.
A little bit, but not at any strategic level.
Yeah. So it might be worth just explaining when did this first come about? Because I know when it actually did it, and it kind of made you realise actually the way I'm going to learn, or the way all of us could learn, is by actually physically doing it.
So it was an accident. So I think people who've listened to the podcast, I mean, there's quite a few episodes now, but I guess one of some of the early ones, when we're talking about how we got from 0 to 1 million, will sort of know the story that, because you were working on the agency stuff then, but basically it was kind of just prior to going into beta release, or when we went to early beta, we had this beta list. We sent emails out to them saying, hey, it's ready to try for free, go for it kind of thing. And basically no one really did, or they said, oh yeah, I'll do that in like 2 weeks. I was like, I don't really have 2 weeks to wait. I need feedback soon. I need to test this soon. And so what I realized, it was the only way the world was going to ever have its first play with ScreenCloud was if I went out into that world, usually to people I kind of knew and were relatively local in London or just outside of it, and just get on in the car, get in a train, and just go down there and just do it myself. And that usually included also setting up their content for, basically doing it for them. Yeah. So admittedly, I did wonder at the time, and I was like, oh, this is a bit of a shame, because that means I'll kind of miss that raw feedback. But basically, they weren't even going to get I wasn't going to get that far anyway, so it was kind of like missing something I wasn't going to get. So I was like, well, actually, at least I'll learn, because then I'll put my head into what does a restaurant owner really want to put up on that screen, and then actually test it inside of a restaurant, which I did. And that's where we discovered loads and loads of basically platform issues around, but usually around crappy Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I remember you saying to me, oh my God, I'm in a restaurant and the screen's blank. I think you were slacking, going, Luke, the screen's blank. What the fuck?
What's going on? Yeah. And I'm like stood on a table, and there's people around me eating, and it's just humiliating. And so anyway, so I thought, well, I got humiliated. Why shouldn't all of our employees? No. So I still reflect on that, maybe with a little rose-tinted glasses, I suppose. That was one of the most valuable periods for me, learning both our product inside out, because I was setting it up with real business use cases in mind, and I could then, the flaws in it became immediately obvious, and then obviously like getting into the real world and seeing how it performs, and or lack of in that case, and I thought, but then the other things happen, because often I was sat in these shops or gyms or whatever, and often I was waiting for an hour because Luke was Luke and the team were trying to like fix something. So I like had nothing to do. I was just that sort of random guy kind of sat over in the corner. But it meant what happened is I also just started to get to talking to the staff, and I was kind of curious. And yeah, so a kind of byproduct of the problem of having problems, technical problems, was I was often sort of stuck in the venue waiting for like Luke or someone to sort of push a fix out. So I was kind of like sat there for maybe an hour. With basically bugger all to do. So I used it kind of productively and started speaking to the staff and then just asking questions like, because I don't really know much about shop dynamics. I was like, well, this example was a high-end bike shop near Richmond Park, which is very popular with cyclists. And I was like, well, what's the profile of customers on Saturday morning versus like, who comes to a bike shop at 11 a.m. on a Monday? They were like, oh, people who are really into cycling, who want to come in, they know that it's not going to be busy, so they want to spend time with a consultant, they want to go through like every single configuration, they want a proper service. We're going to spend like $3,000 on a bike. I was like, all right, so why don't they come on Saturday morning? Oh, because that's like mums and dads with kids, just getting family. What they want to do is come in and get the hell out as quickly as they can because the kids are going to go boring and they want to get on the bike. So it's like, right, I want 2 small mountain bikes, family bike, I need all the peripherals, helmet, done. And then really they make their margin because those bikes, they don't cost that much. There's not great margin. They make margin on peripherals and basically just... Yeah. So I was like, oh, right, okay, wow, I'm starting to get a bit strategic here. So I was like, so on Monday we should really be pushing, that your engineers are like the best, that they can talk to you through. They're knowledgeable cyclists themselves. Yeah. Obviously, mum and dad don't give a crap about that. They're like, have we got it in stock? Is it a fair price? Bada bing, can we go? And I was like, well, from a screen strategy, that means you're completely different. And I was like, God, I'm learning so much. And that's just one example. And I could then go all through restaurant dynamics of, customers coming in early during the week versus the weekend, upselling where they actually make the most margin, like upselling a second drink or fresh juice in the morning or getting the coffees in or round of drinks afterwards, like all of the little tweaks which kind of basically make the mechanics of the restaurant work much better. I could only find that out by talking to the staff. Yeah. Anyway, fast forward a few years and we've now got 60 people. And the vast majority of those people are in engineering and other or marketing, which is customer centric, but very, very few, maybe only some sales, and even then, maybe not all of them, actually have gone and had an experience like that. So we all think we understand. Oh yeah, screens. Oh, I've seen that. So we have a perception of what we think this really, really works. But it isn't until you go deep dive in to the business and actually have to set it up, come up with a strategy and get this thing really working for a specific audience or objectives that you truly, and this is the key phrase here, fall in love with the problem, or at least hopefully fall in love with the problem. And I think that often in software, you can attract staff who fall in love with your product. Great, because it looks nice, it's cool. Oh wow, they look like they're good engineers and things like that. Or they look like they're making money or they've got some good clients or whatever. But like, frankly, screw that. I want people to come here who go, I want to make the companies use screens in a better, more valuable way. But in order to do that, you've got to understand their pain. You've got to understand the problem and the limitations of what that of what you've got to work with, so that you can basically make more informed decisions in almost anything you do in the business. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I did it myself. With one of the other companies that we'd invested in, which was an online real estate agency called Tepelo, that later merged and then folded. But enough of that. But I was kind of doing, because they didn't use screens right. Yeah. Well, like I think for a while I was doing a day a week in Tepelo, as because we were sort of investors in that, I guess. And so I thought, well, actually, that's a great example. They've got a sales team. I'll put in a screen there. So that was quite interesting. It was definitely a good thing to do because you're actually physically going through the process of sticking I can't remember what we used. Probably an Amazon Fire Stick. It could have been, yeah. And I think it was it was a PC. I think they probably had a spare like little Nook or something like that. Yeah. But anyway, so I've got that all working. Paired the screens, uploaded the app
the app onto the device, put it into kiosk mode, all those kind of things, and then obviously then try to create some content that was actually kind of replicating the data that they were currently using on a computer, kind of connected to a screen. Yeah, it was quite. I mean, it wasn't. I don't think it was a super success. I think part of the problem was that because I was there, I thought I'd just do it, but I'm not sure that they saw the value as much as some of the other people that we've done it.
Still a lot of learning.
But it was it was good. It was good to learn. And I mean, I suppose it's probably worth talking about when. So coming back. So what we do now, we haven't quite said this, is when a new person joins, we give them the employee challenge.
Yeah. So I was going to explain that.
So and what are the rules? How does it work?
So basically, sorry, it was a bit long-winded, but it came from trying to replicate an experience that I had, a unique experience I had from the very early days, which was almost forced upon me, but now I look back as like one of the best things. And then thinking, I can't believe no one else gets that experience. Now, how are we going to get close to it? Well, a lot of businesses, what they do is they go, a new employee comes in, regardless of what they do, they just whack them on customer support for a week, which is actually pretty valuable. But again, that's like knowing what the niggles and the issues are of existing customers. But this is earlier than that. This is actually kind of being the customer, and figuring out what you're going to do with the screen, not what's wrong with the screen potentially. So the employee challenge is basically replicating that. So what they do is employee joins ScreenCloud, and in their first week, they're given an Amazon Fire device or a basic device, and it's up to them to then go out into their network, their world, or just local world, whatever it might be, and find a business or organization, non-profit, anything like that that's a kind of real use case that has a screen but isn't using it properly, and then effectively volunteer to put ScreenCloud in for free. Come up with all the strategy content, work with them on everything. So effectively, they get it for free.
Yeah, it's important to say that we're not trying to get people to kind of, like
do new business,
using their network. Yeah.
No, we don't want that. And then the customer, and then for 3 months, they run a pilot project of maybe one, or they can have a few more screens if they want, but not a massive one. Just usually a small pilot project. And then during that 3-month period, they check in and they report back to the company. And usually what happens at the very end is they make a video, like a kind of screen, they make some slides, and they kind of go through, explain the customer, explain the problems, explain what they did, the content strategy, also like how they found setting it up, issues they raised, issues they had maybe on the customer side, and then what the customer ultimately thought. And if the customer's like happy, they can continue to have the account for the rest of the year for free. And then after that, we'll put them, if they want to keep ScreenCloud after that, they can go on a meaty discount. So we're not, as I said, we're not trying to do this as some kind of backdoor way of getting everyone to be a new business salesman. I think that's pretty creepy. This is much more about experience. And obviously that person is probably going to have to ask for a bit of a favor. Yeah. They might not have a burning need for a screen, but hey, if it's free, why not? Let's go for it. And Bruno was working here last year. We should give her a chance with her new job and stuff. And so it is a bit in the favor bank. Yeah. And that is probably the hardest bit, incidentally. That's the thing most employees kind of panic about is like, I'm not a salesperson, or like, well, I'm not asking you to be a salesperson. But they normally, I don't know anyone. And actually, in fairness, some employees, like especially if they've come from overseas, they don't necessarily have that friends and family network locally. So what we try and do that is like, at the moment it's basically been me, but I'm sure more people could help contribute. Is like go out to my own network and find people I know that could do with some help, and then make introductions and stuff. But we kicked it off in November last year, 2018. And it was a bit of a rocky start, because no one had done it before. People felt that they were, it's kind of out of their comfort zone. They felt, even if they're not salespeople, they could be a bit introverted. And what I basically say to most people is like, just calm down, have a think, put it out on Facebook or whatever, and just ask for a favor. And you never know; it'll probably be someone you think of someone you might really, oh God, my mate, yeah, of course they could do it. You just sort of, it will take time to sink in. That's probably the trickiest bit about this whole process, is that initial anxiety. And obviously the people don't want to fail. But once they get into it, this thing is a mine of gold in terms of coming up with new ideas for products, or finding issues, or trying to iron out process, or just basically being a massive kind of light bulb moment for our employees, especially if they're on engineering or something and don't tend to speak to customers that often, of just what we're actually trying to do, and then hopefully fall in love with the problem.
Yeah. Cool.
That's kind of that's what it is. So
yeah, I know we've had, as I say, we've had quite a lot of sort of feedback from employees, and what they do is they do a video and they'll upload it to Slack, and everyone can see it, or do slides or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's so as from what I can tell, people, as you say, they're a bit anxious about it, but then they pretty much love it after that. And sometimes they do it in pairs as well. It's not,
yeah. So if it's a bigger one, so sometimes an opportunity comes up, but it's like quite a lot of work. Like for example, we had a big event, which was a 2-day event. It was quite an important event, and we put 2 people on that one because it's just a bit more planned. It's not like, oh yeah, whack on that screen in the lobby. It's like a little bit less pressure, but a big event, you've got to test it more, and you don't want to let that customer down and stuff. So we do that. And actually, sometimes what's happened is people have loved it and become customers. They've also often been case studies as well. And actually, quite another interesting thing is, you're a new employee, you come join a new company, like you do that, you're a developer or whatever, you're front end or designer, and then you're in that first 3 months, you're going to work closely with some people, be sort of known, but really probably just an image on Slack, or especially people on other offices and stuff. Like, how often in the first 3 months of joining a new company are you actually going to make any kind of presentation back to that company, or just show a bit more about you? But like for example, Rob, who did the one last night that came through. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but he posted it last night. He's into powerlifting, right? He's a developer, but he has a real hobby in powerlifting, and he puts screens at a powerlifting competition that he's involved with and volunteers at. And I learned a bit more about Rob, and he's got a nice dry humour to it, and it was interesting, and I feel I know him better. And then he also had like enlightened moments as well, and it's like, I've got more things to say to him. I don't want that to sound rude, but like, otherwise I would have known him more for what he does, and then I'll be like, oh, how's it going? Like, if I met him next week, we would have a conversation straight away, because I'd be like, well, one, tell me more about powerlifting. Hey, that's interesting. And this organization and all of these challenges you talked about, which is more like internal politics that he'd encountered, which is another really interesting thing, because it's not just about the tech and the product. You begin to encounter the power dynamics that happen in decision making when it comes to communications, like IT and then marketing. And so IT said yes, but then marketing wanted, whoa, stop what you're doing there. What's going on here? And they start to hear about all these multi-decision makers, which are part of our day to day. But again, you can explain it. It's until you feel it, you're like, oh, I see what sales have to do now, the challenges ahead. So I think it's a good way of kind of getting that person into the company, giving them a very achievable goal. Again, another thing when you join a company, you don't always get given a brand new fresh piece of work to go and crack out in 3 months. You might go onto an existing project which has got more to do, but this is something you can hold and tangibly achieve. And obviously that can have a negative effect too, because if for any reason the employee challenge just goes badly wrong, then you're reporting back and going, they said they wanted it, but they didn't do it. Then they took the screen down. I feel like I failed. Like, it could be quite negative. Yeah. So what we've kind of done is we've had a couple, although it hasn't been too bad so far. So far it's so good, but I'm expecting worse things. What we do is, some people come back and say, well, I don't know how to make my presentation because basically it hasn't happened. Like someone kind of kiboshed the project halfway through. You said, oh, we're changing location or whatever. We don't want to put screens up right now, whatever it might be, or a screen up. That has happened. And then what we said was, look, this is interesting. You're learning about how things go wrong, and you learn probably a lot more from
you learn more from things that go wrong than go right.
I'm much more interested in the presentations that come back where there's challenges. If everything goes completely smoothly and they love it, it's like, hey, high fives all round, but we haven't really learned anything. Not that we should probably all be attaining that, and I'm happy for the employee and stuff, but it's learning about those things we could do better. And I just think, I know it's like, it's Mark's idea if he's championing it, but like, I love this idea so much.
It's a great idea.
Think everyone.
The other thing that, as well, is that it's not hierarchical. It's not like it was just the junior team that have to do it.
Everyone
has to do it.
Everyone.
So and we, I'm glad that I did that thing. Although we weren't doing the employee challenge.
I might take it. I want to do it again.
Well, I'm thinking about maybe doing it for my local school or something like that.
Yeah. Also, when we've got our new product out, we need to remember we really have schooled ourselves on our product version 1. Yeah. But we don't use our product every day anymore, like we used to. So actually, it's quite a good refresher. If you feel like you've got a bit distance from your product, just go and give it to someone and do the work mostly for them or with them, and just get back and fall back in love with the problem and realize, what your new product challenges are, because also the customers move on as well. Like the challenges of 2 years ago, people are more sophisticated now. Like the world moves on pretty quick.
Yep.
2 years ago it was all about images and video, and no one cared about the web. But now things have moved on, and that I want dashboards up there, I want social up there. Well, they weren't actually asking me that much for that 3 years ago. It was actually 3 years ago. Now they're like, if it isn't up there, then it ain't on. So that customer changes over time. They become more sophisticated, and it's good to keep in touch. So
cool.
We've got a big Medium, as if we post it in the notes. There's a Medium article which kind of explains all of this in more detail.
Some examples.
But just a few examples in there. And it's got the good and the bad. I don't believe in just saying, it's worked fabulously, you should totally do it, your employees will love you and your employee NPS score will go higher. It's a risk. It's a risk asking people to do this, to get out their comfort zone in the first week of joining and to deliver something which involves making a video and speaking and things like that, but it's how the employee can truly bond with all elements of the company and really fall in love with that problem. I love it. It's clearly quite passionate about this.
I think it's a great idea, and it'd be interesting to hear if anyone else has done stuff similar and had similar experiences. As you said, like ScreenCloud is kind of unique in that you there's quite a lot of things that you have to do to get it to work. Whereas if you were just installing Slack, as you said, like it's just, hey everyone, install Slack. But even so, even if you
still go and train them on it,
there's still
best
how people are using it.
Configuration. Exactly. Did you know you could
Rooms
share
and
GIFs
things
this way? You could have this go straight into your video conferencing thing. I mean, there's still stuff. I think there's always something you could in theory do. And I think it's not. Like, I know the default answer in our industry is like, whack them on customer service for a week, but it skews you, because I mean, less than 10% of our customers, definitely less than 10% of our customers contact customer service. So you're getting a vision of the world, but it's not a true vision.
It is quite hard to kind of understand someone's pain, even through customer services, if you haven't actually. You're kind of doing it slightly remotely through sort of slightly opaque glass, saying, I can see all the problems you're having. I've never experienced it myself.
You haven't experienced the frustration. You don't know, like, I mean, actually, and also, if you're actually talking to customers, you can relate by going, you know what, I actually installed this in a local school and I hit that same problem and it's really annoying. Right, but here's how we solve it. Like, if someone's like, you know what, that happened to me. And they're like, oh, okay. So I'm glad it's not just me feeling like a doofus or whatever, but like actually that worked. So there's a million good things for it. As I said, funnily enough, despite it being clearly such a winning idea, it was met with a bit of resistance early on. I think now we've got a history and we can show people what other people have done. That has kind of helped smooth things out, and it's not quite as daunting as probably it looked for the poor guinea pigs that we started it with. But in fairness, they did get it to it, and it helped us iron the process out a little bit more. And just love that idea, so I thought we'd share it.
Cool.
That's probably it, isn't it? Really,
I think that's it.
Shortish one.
No,
for
good
us.
one. I think it's
short but sweet.
It's a great
implement
initiative.
it today, and feedback in the comments below. I might have and then you might see another little video where we ask for comments. But we do want feedback. It's nice to hear.
It's lovely to hear other people doing similar things. Yeah, definitely.
And like by no means do we think we've nailed that down. Like maybe there's an idea or something we're missing here. We could do this better. I'm kind of thinking like, do we need to start to collect a pool of possible ones? Because I mean, like, I'm going to run out of networks soon of like who I can kind of introduce. So there's kind of
maybe if you want to be a guinea pig.
Do you want to be a guinea pig? We've got people in Northern Ireland. We've got people in London and South East, in the UK, Los Angeles. We need some people in America, California, New York,
Phoenix,
Arizona, Bangkok, Thailand, Southeast Asia,
South Africa.
God, we've got lots of people everywhere, haven't we?
Belgium.
Anyway, if you're interested in being part of the employee challenge, that would be great. All you've got to do is have a screen somewhere that we can help you put up, and that's it. a screen and some willingness.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
All right. Until next time. We'd love to hear feedback from people when people do actually say that they've listened to or watched one of our podcasts. It's a really great feeling, and obviously want to know whether people agree with what we've got to say or have any ideas or comments, so please do feel free.
Yeah, or what we'd like to, any topics they'd like us to talk about in the future. So you can leave comments below, or we're really easy to find on social. Hit us up. We'd love to hear from you.
LinkedIn.
So thank you for listening and watching. Support and feedback, very greatly appreciated.